Tell me about a customer where you saw this development where they went from dabbling, and you either say the name or not, but just that sort of generic profile of somebody who was dabbling, and then what are they doing at scale today that requires them to have enterprise software? As opposed to putting this in a Google Sheet or on Notion or some other Airtable, whatever.
Yeah, if you think about it, the brands are running these super large scale creator management, influencer marketing programs in-house. Before Grin, what they're doing, because they want to go direct, they want to own the direct relationship. They have these lists of a bunch of different people. In Google Sheets, they have shipping address, discount codes, their product preferences, last time they reached out to them, their social profiles. And they've got anywhere from 2 to some brands that are working with Grin have 25 people in the product every day. So they have big influencer and creator teams. And what they're doing before Grin is they're emailing all those people if they want to do some sort of activation or promotion. And they're following up and saying, hey, we want you to promote this thing around Black Friday. Here's what it is. Is your shoe size still this? And oh, is your shipping address still this? And there's this back and forth dialogue. They then go into the e-commerce platform, ship the product, create a discount code, send that to the person, and then follow up a few weeks later to make sure that they actually promoted the content and promoted the product and did the actual activation. So it takes these people hours on end to manage these programs. With Grin, they sign up, they authenticate in all their tools, they authenticate their e-commerce platform. We take that process down from multiple days to 15 to 20 minutes. They just select a group, create an activation, choose the products, distribute links to those people. And it really just provides a bunch of efficiency and clarity into their process and makes it super easy for them to manage.
What brands or types of products does influencer marketing work for versus just doing search on Google or buying ads on Instagram or buying ads on Facebook's network or TikTok, et cetera?
Well, I think the macro trend, if you think about what's enabling this, it's this consumer attention shift from traditional channels into mobile social. And in traditional, the distribution is cable, radio, these like companies and stations. And in mobile social, the distribution is Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and the actual shows are people like you. They're creators on social. That's what people are engaging with. So I think the macro trend is that over time, every brand in the world will do some form of creator management, influencer marketing. Where it's really gained a lot of traction with like high growth direct consumer brands. So digitally native brands like Kylie, brands like Fabletics, Warby Parker, Allbirds. A lot of those household brands that are, highly disruptive and super high growers, they grew out of direct partnerships with creators, either one-to-one at the macro level and these really big scaled micro programs.
How do these influencers get paid? And then what is the law around and the regulatory environment? How is that shaping up? Because I know there were people who were basically doing covert marketing. They had this moment in time called buzz marketing. I don't know if you remember that, where people were doing like covert marketing. Like they would go on the streets and be like, hey, can you take our picture? And the person would say, sure, I'll take your picture. And then it would be a Sony camera. And they'd be like, oh yeah, this is my Sony. Can you hit the widescreen on my Sony VX1000, whatever? And it was like, oh, and the FTC and other people got upset about that. And then obviously Instagram now is, I think, putting paid programming or something over people's, or paid partnership, I think, on top of stuff. So tell me a little bit about that and how the regulatory environment has changed. And then what are people getting paid? What do influencers get paid? How do they get paid?
Yeah, so a couple questions there.
Yeah.
I think first and foremost, when this type of marketing, this channel is fundamentally different than programmatic, right? Like it's not like buying ads on Facebook or Instagram or anything that achieves scale via reach and frequency. The reason it's different is because the endorsement goes through a person. So you don't control the whole thing. There's this relationship that needs to happen. When the endorsement goes through a person to the consumer, like authenticity and trust is key. The person should believe in the product that they're using. They should disclose the brand if it's paid or not. And this is like a key part because in order to keep audience as a creator or influencer, like you need to build rapport and trust with your audience. You don't want to mislead them. So the FTC has clear guidance around like how you disclose via hashtags, and Instagram has introduced functionality like that you mentioned. It's in paid sponsorship or partnership, I believe, with the brand that enables you to tag them so the consumer's not confused if you're being paid. I haven't seen a lot of enforcement around it. I know it's key. Like We enable it via our product. It's a super important part of how this is all evolving. And I think it's key because the endorsement, again, is going through these people that you trust and follow. And so not only do as the brand should you inspire belief, but you also need to make sure that you're disclosing. So I think that's a key part of it. And then with regards to being paid, it depends, right? Not all creators are paid. Oftentimes brands are able to, because there's affinity between the brand and the creator, it's like they're just sharing product. And so they're paid in like cost of goods and promotional product to get them to try. That can be paid via commission, right? Grin and other platforms like Grin enable very clear revenue attribution and tracking. And then you can pay creators a portion of the sales that they generate via the endorsement. Or you can do one-to-one partnerships and pay people long-term, almost like put them on payroll, whereas they're almost like a pseudo member of your team and they're constantly talking about you, like how Nike would do with athlete marketing.
Got it. Like a retainer. Yeah, they're going to do. Which of those is the predominant way in which people do that? They just give free product in exchange for you sharing your thoughts on it? Because I see a lot of influencers and even met people who were in my extended social circle. And this is when I knew this was becoming a thing, because people in my extended social circle started sharing clothes and sports drinks. And I started seeing the paid partnership. And I'm like, that person has another job. They have a day job, or even CEOs are doing it now where they're talking about things they get. I do ads on my podcast and I read them, but which I guess has some tacit endorsement. I usually am explicit when I say, hey, listen, I use LinkedIn Jobs, duh. I use Notion, duh. And we created our own white label approach where if somebody is a product I use, we white label them. In other words, hey, Jason would love to talk about it because he uses it and he can riff on it, or I can just read your ad straight from top to bottom and it's a live read, but not as much of an endorsement because I don't use the product. I don't need it.
And I think, Jason, the consumer knows that. And you're doing the right thing in both of those because you're disclosing that it's paid or there's a monetary exchange in both of those.
Yeah, it's very clear, yeah.
But the consumer can tell very clearly if you're like, hey, I love Notion, I use Notion. And by the way, they're paying me for this, but doesn't mean I still love it. And so I think there's this impetus on behalf of the brand to inspire that feeling, either through great product execution, great marketing, great brand building, but also you can do that by making friends with the people who are creating the content and you inspire belief. And so I think that's a great example of how it translates to the consumer.
If you don't have insurance, you failed one of the first steps of being an entrepreneur. And Embroker's technology saves you time and money. Prices are up to 20% lower with better coverage than the incumbents. And you can go from sign up to quote and purchase in just 10 minutes. When you work with Embroker, instead of business insurance incumbents, you're not dealing with these large, slow corporations, and sign up only takes days, not weeks. The process is transparent with no opaque pricing, and there are 4 crucial types of startup insurance that they cover and that you need. Cyber insurance. This is in case you get hacked. D&O insurance. This is for directors and officers. If somebody does something dumb and you get sued. Then there's E&O insurance. Some people haven't heard of this. Other people know it all too well. It's called errors and omissions, and it helps you scale your business because any major customer will want you to have errors and omission insurance when you close a deal. And finally, and sadly, EPL, Employment Practices Liability. This covers harassment, wrongful termination, and more. If you are running a business and you hit any kind of scale, somebody is going to either do something stupid or somebody is going to feel that they were wrongfully terminated. Even if they were terrible and you fired them with cause, they can go find an attorney to sue you. You need to have EPL. And you need to have all 4 of these types of insurance if you're going to become venture backable and you're going to build a robust business. To instantly buy custom-built insurance for startups, go to embroker.com/twist. 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 And use my offer code TWIST to get 10% off.